This is the Ask a Photographer podcast, answering your photography-related questions about general photography, workflow, editing, business, and marketing. To submit a question, go to bebleno.com/ask. Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from bebleno.com. Today's question comes from Helen, and she's asking, after a couple of years in the business, I have saved up a small amount of money. Should I reinvest this money back into my photography business or buy new equipment to update my cameras and my computer equipment? Hey, Helen, thanks for your question. And it's great that you've saved up a little bit of cash. It means that your business is making a profit, which is awesome. Now, what would I do? I would actually reinvest back into the business only because I would try to maximize my profits. If I'm buying new camera equipment or computers, it would mean that I may not see the results straight away. Whereas if I was to, say, do something like advertising, I could, hopefully get a return on my money. But having said that, though, everyone's different, and I'm not too sure what type of equipment you have or how old your computer equipment is. So what I'll do today is just go through the things that you potentially can spend your money on, and just talk through some of the things that can come from that. I'll start with investing back into the business, and what I would do is advertising. Google AdWords. I really like Google AdWords. The fact that I can set up ads and bid for certain keywords within my local area. And, as we all know, when you want to go find something, you always jump onto the Google, right? So it's one way that you can get results quite quickly, or leads quite quickly, without having to do a whole heap of work. Now, having said that, though, you can't just set and forget Google Ads, or any ads, that is, Facebook included, Instagram and Pinterest and all that stuff. You've got to keep on top of it. So if you don't, you can end up spending a lot of money. Because in effect, what you're doing with, say, Google Ads is you're bidding for a keyword. It could be like New York wedding photographer, could be portraits, New York, whatever it may be, right? And there's obviously other photographers bidding for the same thing. The more people that bid, the higher the cost of the price of that keyword. I've seen wedding keywords go as high as $10 or so, depending on the time of year. A couple of years back, I noticed that, and obviously I did not bid for that, because what in effect was happening is that if you were successful in that bid and the customer had clicked on your link, your ad, which is in the top 4 spots of when you search for something, you, in effect, if you were bidding for this particular keyword, which was $10, you had to pay Google $10 just for them to come to your website. What happens if they jump straight off the website or didn't make it to your website because your website's slow? So, that's just something you just need to be on top of and have, I guess, all your eggs in, your ducks in a row, I guess I'm trying to say. So basically everything working for you. So with Google AdWords, I find that it's actually quite successful in the sense that you're not having to do a whole heap of work you don't have to go out and meet and greet people. You can do it from the comfort of your home, even on your couch. If you have an iPad or a tablet, and you can set up your accounts from there, which is great. But you just need to keep on top of them and making sure that you're not paying too much for keywords. If the keywords are bigger than your budget, doing a budget of, say, $20 a day, which you're not necessarily going to use all that budget, but I find that if I set my budgets to $20, $30 a day, over the course of the month, I'm spending basically about $100 and something a month, which I'm giving to Google. So it's about $1,200, maybe a little bit more a year, that I'm spending on ads just for wedding and my portrait side of the business. These type of ads will get you a client that's looking for your photography, or photography in that genre that you've got there. Now, the thing is that you just got to be careful, because the client may be only in the beginning of their searching for a photographer, which, when you can once you become comfortable with ads in general, you can up your game by doing retargeting. What that means is when they come to your website, you put a little bit of, you put a cookie in their browser by putting some code on your website, and that makes the browser pick up a cookie that basically follows them around the internet. And when they go to websites that run ads, they'll be running your ads. And I find that I get a lot of my leads from these retargeted ads. I've tried Facebook, I've tried Google, and I find Google works quite well because the reach is a little bit further than Facebook. So that's what I would do in regards to the advertising. You could also do marketing. So third-party marketing is what comes to mind. And that's like using another business other than your own to gain leads. So if you're a portrait photographer, and say, for instance, you were interested in photographing kids, okay, and their families. Well, you could team up with, say, a dentist, okay? So, giving out vouchers to all the kids that have their braces taken off, okay? And what would happen is that, kids at that stage really want photos themselves because they're, but as soon as they get them off, they're more confident and they're, a bit more sure of themselves, and that's a great time for them to want to take photos. The other thing you could try is maybe a vet, families with pets take photos down at the park with their dogs. That could be another avenue. Even a a children's clothing store, of a particular age group, it could be toddlers, or it could be, the teens, that type of thing. And basically what you're doing is approaching the small business, and it's ideal that you do it with a small business, and because it's usually when you find with it's a large organization, they're probably going to say no. But the bonus for the business is that they're giving their clients something for free, and it shows that they're giving value to them. So if they're spending a bit of money with them, they're saying, hey, as a valued customer, I'm going to give you a free portrait session. And basically what you're going to do is maybe give away your sitting free for nothing, and also maybe give a free print, which you can say, hey, I'm giving $250 worth of value for nothing. Here's a free portrait session, and you take their portraits, and when it comes to the sales session, you'll obviously give them their free print. It could be something quite small, like a 5x7, 4x6, whatever it may be, and then your job from there on is to upsell them to something bigger, a bigger print, canvas, albums, bigger package, whatever it may be, and that's how you'll actually make money from there. You will of course get people that will take just the print and nothing else. That's fine. So you're working on numbers here, and every promotion is different. So don't get held up. It's that 5 people have taken the print and no one else. But once you do make the money, it actually will be quite substantial for you. So that's advertising and also a bit of marketing for you. The other thing is to maybe change your branding and your website. So if you've been in business for a few years, up your game a little bit of freshness to your website. Maybe bring it up to date if it's a little bit out of date. You can get a new logo from Fiverr.com. That works quite well. Also, getting a new hosting provider or a new theme. So companies such as StudioPress, which have a product called StudioPress Sites. And what that is, that's a managed WordPress website. So they look after the server, they look after the backups of your server, they look after the security of your server, they look at the updating of your WordPress installation. So your dealing with your website has been lowered because you're paying somebody a monthly fee to do that, which allows you to get back into the business and deal with the things that you're good at. And speaking of the things that you're good at, if you are not good at something, or you just loathe, you just hate doing it, hire somebody, right? Well, what about a sales session? If you know that your sales could be better because, well, you just don't like doing sales, you find that they're icky, or you're just not good with people in that sense when it comes to selling something, hire someone and make it a performance-based thing. So the more sales they do, the more percentage they get. Also, maybe if you don't like photo editing or even some of the customer service, hire somebody to do that. You can outsource the editing to someone. You can have somebody come into your office and do the editing. You can even get somebody to do your customer service, answer emails, do some of the filing, that type of thing. Also, to invest back in your business by taking out people that are significant within your area of photography. So, you hear wedding photographers take out the vendors. They could be people that help them get new clients, like that own the establishments where people get married. So it could be a venue, a wedding venue. Also taking out people that that's people like celebrants or other photographers, and you learn from these people, and taking them out for coffee, it's not going to cost you a lot, even if they get something to eat. $20, $30, it's not a big investment. You learn about them. They also learn about you, so they'll be more they'll actually want to refer you to people. Also, if you build connections with other photographers, they could potentially give you jobs when they're busy. Also, you could learn about the business side from other photographers. Talking about what works for you or what doesn't work, and it's a great way of networking and just building these relationships. And it's interesting where I've received business over the years. I've told people that I'm a photographer, but some of the people that have hired me for the types of photography I didn't actually think of doing, things like real estate photography or even headshots. And they're all type of photography that I'm starting to pursue now in the slower months, which have worked. A little bit of extra cash flow is not a bad thing. So that's something to think about. Now, in regards to equipment, so I mentioned before that I would invest into the business. Okay, that's a given because I want to get something back. But there's a time and place that I think investing in your equipment will benefit you. A little while ago, I used to use a camera that, as soon as I hit the 1600 ISO mark, it was just really grainy, and I found that if I was to crop a little bit into the photo when I was post-processing, it just looked garbage. And it's, for one thing, it lowered my confidence with my camera equipment, which meant that I didn't feel confident as to where I was going to photograph, and I always wanted to be taking photos in a more brightly lit area, which is not a bad thing, but it's just more the fact that I wasn't being creative enough, is what I'm trying to say. So it's very bland the ways I was taking photos, because I just used my camera in a certain way because I knew it was a safe photo and I'd get the quality that I wanted. And so when I upgraded, because I didn't upgrade my camera straight away, I waited a couple of models, but when I did, difference was huge. The difference in photo quality, I could go to a higher ISO and therefore push some of the photos that I was trying to take, experiment a little bit better, and my clients were happy with the photos too, because they saw that I was taking the type of photos were a bit more not edgy, but a little bit more different than what I was before, and therefore they were getting a different set of photos to what they were used to, which worked really well in my favor. Now, upgrading your camera just because something comes out, I find that camera manufacturers, and as you know, right, these manufacturers want to make money, so they release products on a regular timeline. And just because they release a product doesn't necessarily mean that you should buy it. Sometimes the difference between features is very minimal, so therefore waiting 1 or 2 models is probably more benefit to you. And by then the camera technology would have increased enough that you'll see the bigger benefits for your business. Getting new lenses is sometimes a good thing, because the type of lenses that you use may have served you well a few years back, but as you've progressed with your photography and maybe photographing in different conditions, there may be better lenses for that. So if you're doing more night or more photography that's lower in poorly lit areas, instead of using flash, then having something that's like a prime lens, it's like a 1.4 or 1.2 or 2.8, if you haven't got those lenses already, could be a good investment for you, because therefore you'll be taking more keepers at the end of the day, so you can process them, and also processing of the photos will be better because there'll be less grain and you feel more confident in your ability. Will it make you a better photographer? Not really, but it will help you along the way and give you that confidence to maybe try new things, and therefore that's how you'll become a better photographer, because you're trying new things. The other thing would be to actually buy new equipment that you may have not had before. And as I alluded to a little bit before, when clients were asking me to do different type of photography I was normally used to, things like headshots, getting an external flash, just one flash, softbox, and a background. And that gave me extra revenue, which was excellent. It gave me different things to think about my photography, and when there was the quiet times, the cooler months, I could promote that side of my business and to get more clients and more money. Now, lastly, in regards to your computers, the last thing we want to be doing is spending hours and hours and hours processing our photos when we could do it in half the time or even quarter of the time because of our slow computers. I had a 5-year-old computer that I was using with Lightroom, and I just loathed using Lightroom because it was a pain in the butt. It was really painful. It got to the point where I just went back to Photoshop and exclusively. And it wasn't as quick because I couldn't apply all these different presets, and even though I had actions, I found the automation in Photoshop to be a little bit clunky. Now, when I upgraded my computer, a few things happened. One, I upgraded my computer and it meant that I was not stuck on USB 1. I could actually use USB 3, and therefore I had a newer card reader which downloaded my photos a lot faster, in 32 gigs of raw files in 10 minutes, if that. Then importing the files from 40 minutes to 15 minutes. It was just, all this stuff that I would spend, all this time that I spent trying to process and wait for my computer, it just drove me nuts. And now that I could actually ingest the photos into Lightroom or add them into Lightroom and edit the photos at the same time and have very minimal degradation in performance on my computer is beautiful, because my workflow has literally almost halved by doing so. That, and of course an efficient workflow had really, really worked wonders for the whole process, and I enjoyed editing again. It was really, really good. Now, here's one thing that's probably very, very important. We just talked about upgrading the computer because of productivity. One thing you should upgrade is your backup system. If you have a backup system that is non-existent or is failing you or is almost out of date because you've neglected it, you should stop everything else and spend money on that first. So a simple backup system would be having a copy on your computer, then having an external hard drive that has the same. Then you have a third copy either in the cloud, so things like Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. They're free, but also if you want to add more photos past that threshold, you pay. That's fine. That's one way, because it's in the cloud, it's off-site. If you don't want to have anything in the cloud, then get another external hard drive, which is a copy of the desktop, and you take it to somewhere that's off-site. It's not in the same piece of land that your desktop or laptop computer is. So you're left with 3 copies. You've got one for your computer, one is an external hard drive that you keep somewhere within the house, and then a third one which is somewhere else. Could be a friend's place, could be another office, could be safe deposit box. I'll leave that up to you. But you need to have backup as a professional. And that's definitely one place that I would be spending my money if I didn't have a proper backup system. So there you go, Helen. There's some things to think about. Hope some things jump out at you, and you can consider for your business. Thanks for your question, and I hope that helps you. If you have a question that you'd like featured on the show, go to biblino.com/ask to submit your question. I'd love to hear what you think of the show by going to iTunes or Stitcher and giving me a review and a rating. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications of new episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, get out and take more photos. Oh, look, it's a cat in front of a sunset.